So I'm Jason Lyle Black. I'm a pianist, composer, and entertainer. So I perform, I do a lot of public concerts, private corporate events, also a recording artist, signed with Stone Angel Music. Work with Paul Cardall, who's known to many of our audience, and had an album, Piano Preludes, that came out this year and did very well on the Billboard charts. So I love using music to bring people to the Lord, to bring them greater joy in their lives, whether that's through just entertainment, having fun, or through reaching their hearts through, touching spiritual music. So that's me. So I have a piano student. I used to teach piano a few years ago, and I had a student that committed suicide about a year and a half ago. One of the most talented young musicians I've ever met, ever. I mean, literally, I could name 2 or 3 people maybe ever who are talented as this guy. And yeah, it was obviously a shock to think everyone, and it's just so sad to see not only the his personal and especially the impact on his family, but then you think too about all of the people that he could touch with that talent that he had. I had him playing a concert I did actually 4 years ago, and he stole the show, and that was before I was doing this professionally. But yeah, very, very, very talented kid. So I actually played at his funeral, played one of the pieces that he'd written on the piano. As members of the church, I think it's just important to treat it the same as we would anything else. I think that's probably one of the things is somebody dies of cancer, and what do as a ward? We rally around that family and help them out. And yet somebody dies from suicide and everybody's like, I can't say anything. It's just like, you need to rally around the family. It's the same idea as, a missionary that comes home early from the mission, and it's like, oh, well, we're supposed to treat them differently. It's like, when did Christ say to do that? Where in the scriptures does it say you treat somebody differently if they are not having a temple recommend, or if they're under church discipline, or they came home from mission early because they were depressed? It's like, we were never told to treat people differently, and so we need to not do that. And I think that will help ease the stigma when we don't treat people any differently in tragedy, whether it was a car accident or suicide. It's like, it's a tragedy. Let's treat the family the same and be there to support and encourage them. I would say reach out. I'm not a counselor, but reach out to your support system first off, because that's the thing. There are so many people who love you, and I know at that time it feels like they don't, and you feel alone, but reach out. I think that's the #1 most important thing, is just don't close the door to those that care about you, even if you feel like they don't. Or even if you feel like there's not very many people, because one person is the entire world, to you. If that's that one person that your mom or dad or your friend or someone that you have that closeness to, just don't break that connection. And then obviously there's a lot of other great resources and counseling and the hotlines and things like that. But I just think of, I have a friend, recent new friend actually acquainted with, and went through a pretty painful experience of a divorce, and was having some struggles with the church, and attempted suicide during that time. And the only reason he's still alive today is that as he was going to die, after he had done that, he texted his kids and told them, and his kids were able to get him to the hospital in time. And it's like, that saved his life, the fact that he didn't lose that connection to his children, even though he felt like he lost everything else in his life. And so I'm very grateful that he's still here, and he is, and many other people whose lives he's still touching. And so, yeah, I think don't lose that connection to the people who care. I would just say, don't forget the healing power of music and art. There's a lot of healing, and I think, with my album, with Piano Preludes, and that's what that music was written for. It's written to be healing music, and that's what Stone Angel Music, that I had the opportunity to work with. Stone Angel Music writes music that heals. And I have a friend who, it was her friend, I think, actually, experienced a traumatic shock, a traumatic event, near-death experience, and that caused such a kind of PTSD response for her that she started going to premature labor and was going to lose her baby. She was pregnant. I think, 5 or 6 months pregnant, was going to lose the baby. And she turned on Paul Cardall's CD in the hospital, and that stopped the contractions or whatever, whatever had been happening. So literally she was healed from, you know, this horrific thing that was about to happen through that music. And that's really what, I mean, Paul's music and other music of mine, you know, piano preludes, that it's to heal. And so I had a friend that told me who's experienced a lot of pain and mental illness and things in his life, and he told me, he said, you know, this CD is better than therapy. And he's been through therapy. You know, I love therapy too. I mean, but he was just saying that's the power of music, is music can really help heal. So listen to some music, and the good music that touches your heart, and that can really bring some light in.